Sometimes a riff will sneak up on you, right? You've heard it 1,000 times, it didn't really make a difference, and then suddenly, bam, like lightning, you're paying attention. You're really interested in that riff, like this one. This riff from John Mayer is from years ago that he posted on his Instagram. But it's not just the notes that jumped out. It's the tone, it's the feel, it's the touch. So today, with the help of Goldie, who's a little upset that we're not using a fuzz pedal, and Cosmo, who's going to be running visuals, we're going to break down this riff and why I had to learn it and play it on repeat. Now, before we dive into this riff, it's important that we recognize the moment that this happened in and why it changed everything in the guitar world. The year is 2018 and John Mayer has just left Fender and partnered with PRS to build his dream guitar, the Silver Sky.
I remember this. Everyone and their mother was saying no one would buy a PRS Strat.
Ah yes, the great Silver Sky debate. Many declared it a futile endeavor, a mere imitation. That's right, guys. I think people forget how controversial it was for him to leave Fender to make a Strat-style guitar. And then about a month later, he posts this riff.
It sounds alright, but it still isn't vintage.
Hardly the one to speak about vintages, Goldie, when you couldn't tell the difference between a Chateau Margaux and a Chateau Petrus. I really do think this video allowed people to understand how good the Silver Sky is and why he decided to join up with PRS Guitars. So you can see the caption on his post. He says DI, which means direct input. The reason that matters is because when you're playing through an amp, the amp will add all sorts of different colors and textures to your tone. So the preamp tubes, the power tubes, the tone stack, the speaker, all of those things are contributing to your tone. But when you're plugged in directly into a recording console, all of those things leave. However, if you look closely on the video, you'll see that there are two pieces of equipment that are adding to his tone. One of them is a compressor and the other is a channel strip. So the channel strip looks like it's an API channel strip, and then on the compressor that looks like an 1176 style compressor. And so to match that tone, we're going to use the Cali76 compressor here from Origin Effects, and I'm going to use the preamp and EQ section from a Warm Audio WA73. We're going to shape it a little bit using these EQ knobs.
Oh great, another lecture about you gotta buy boutique gear. Guess my compressor isn't good enough, huh?
Okay, you don't have to buy this Origin Effects Cali76 pedal. You can use any guitar compressor pedal, or you can use the free compressor that comes in your DAW as well. It'll sound pretty close. When compression is used tastefully, it can add sustain and articulation. Thanks, Cosmo. I'll actually be using the SE version of the Silver Sky. There's a little bit of a difference between this and the core version, but the essence remains the same. So here's the direct signal without any EQ and without any compression. Sounds good, but let's add some compression. Good, you see that springiness, that kind of bounce that it's got? But let's shape it a little bit more, right? It's a little bit too dark. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna add a little bit of gain at 220, some gain at 3200, and then some top end at 16. It just adds a little bit of sparkle, a little bit of punch, and a little bit of air on top. Now that we have our tone right, let's figure out these notes. There's only 2.5 sections really in this short video that he put out, but there's lots of little gems and riffs that he has in it that you can add to your repertoire in like almost any situation, which is why I love this little clip. I'm not going to play this super slow, so if you need to go slower, you can just slow it down in YouTube to half time or even quarter time, and you'll be able to see what frets I'm playing here. And then he goes to C, to D, and he goes 1, 5 octave, 1, 5 octave. So to sum that part up here. Great little fun riff, right? He introduces an A section and then a response. The second time that comes around, instead of repeating that, he goes into this gospel riff, man. 14th fret, 12th fret, 10th fret. That's just a D triad. So he slides into that one. The third time, he goes back into a little blues riff. So just down the blues scale. An A. And he mutes it too, okay? The fourth time, he goes back to those same chords, but just hits them. And goes right into the second section, which is like much more frenzied and much more aggression. So now we're in D, right? We're in the 4. And he just hits those 7 and the third right there, going into it. So that's sliding into 10th fret, 11th fret on the D and the G string. And this is when he starts outlining these really kind of interesting chords that they're just slightly different than what you would normally play. Because what I would play here would be like, but he goes. And then here, but I know other guys play it differently. Kept listening to it back and forth, and if I listen to it without watching his hands, it sounds like he plays it like that. But you can play whatever you want there, right? Just as long as it complements whatever that first line is. So first time. Third time. He plays that again. Goes down to the B7, and this is when he does this huge line. I'm gonna play it fast first, and then we'll break it down. Down to a G sharp 7, down to a G7, and on that last hit, he hits it to the 4th position. Not sure if he meant it, but it sounds cool. And he's just riffing there and having a blast. So now that you know the notes, let's break down the style. What makes it uniquely his? First thing, that thumb over the top, man. It's really hard to play some of these riffs unless you have your thumb in action. There's probably ways to get around without using it, but you'll notice that it really like jumps in and jumps out to open up the fretboard in certain ways.
I hate it when people use that thumb. It looks like they're choking their guitar.
Ah, but there are many legendary guitarists whose thumb is integral to their technique.
So you don't have to have your thumb over the top, but sometimes I feel like that gives you that grip to do that vibrato, because the vibrato that John Mayer uses is very particular, and you'll hear it most in that first part. So get used to that vibrato. The second thing is that swing, right? He hits everything with that swing, right? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So practice that swing, and a lot of the swing is also, you get it from releasing the note. The longer you hold that note, the less you kind of signify that that's like a swung eighth note. So try to be sure that you're using your picking hand to make sure you get it, and then your fretting hand to release the note when it's supposed to be released. And then his palm muting. Whenever he's doing those long runs, he's palm muting it. He's giving a nice kind of aggressive but quick touch. So try to make sure you get that in there as well. Now, John also loves dynamics, so make sure when you're palm muting, you're not playing too hard. It's just like nice, quick kind of. When he goes back to that aggressive down, full string. Right? He's going like back and forth between aggressive, soft, lots of vibrato, quick moving. It's almost like this perfect guitar demo, right? Where he's showing like it can go quick, it can go slow, it can turn with you. So when you get all that together and you wrap it up, it should sound something like this. Like all the great guitar riffs out there are many things you can take away. The tone, the touch, the feel. I hope I was able to shed some light on why I think this riff is so great. But please let us know what riffs you'd like us to cover in the future. As always, I'm your host, Alex. And
How about next time we break down something with a little more muscle, huh? Some rock and roll, maybe?
We'll see, Goldie. We'll see.
Serious, I'm sick of this stuff. I want to hear some Foghat, some Deep Purple. What's going on? This is some kind of soft rock channel?